Hello, Steve White, Tripway 89 for Steve Arts 89. Star Trek's Alleged Gatekeeper. Okay, so Star Trek Strange New Worlds has indeed race swapped Chief Kyle. Now, Chief Kyle was the transporter chief on the original Star Trek series, and then he eventually was promoted up to the Commander Kyle on the Reliant in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. So he's now played on Strange New Worlds by a young Asian actor called Andre Day Kim, who is he was on Lock and Key and he was on American Gods. He's a very cute actor. He's a good actor. No issue with him at all. But he's not a white blonde guy like the character in the original series and Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Now, a few days ago when it was revealed that Admiral April was being played by a black guy called Adrian Holmes, people were saying, just wait a minute, he was white in the animated series, and people were saying, the animated series doesn't count, it's not canon, so it doesn't matter. It's not race swapping, it's not a reboot, it's canon, that's not canon. The animated series is not canon, but this is. So I argued that, and people just insist that animated doesn't count, only live action. Well, I'm fairly sure the original series is live action, and I'm fairly sure The Wrath of Khan is live action. So how is this not a reboot now? You've got two characters now race swapped, one from the animated series, one from the original series, and The Wrath of Khan. So you can't consider that this is canonical. You cannot consider this is consistent. They have literally changed the race of two characters. This is a reboot. Why are people denying that this is a reboot? I get initially when they launched Discovery, they were afraid of losing fans who wouldn't watch the show if it wasn't the same universe and wasn't canon, if it was like the JJ films was a separate universe and a reboot. So they said it was canon, but it's clearly not. It's set in the Prime universe, which was created for the JJ films, and the Prime universe is basically their version of the original Star Trek universe. And people are trying to say it's the same universe. It's not. It's a reboot. I don't have any problem with the films being a reboot. I watched them like 20 times in the cinema. I enjoyed them for what they were. They're in a separate universe. They didn't contradict anything. It was fine. But when they brought out Discovery and the Discoverse and Picard, and they tried to tell us that these totally different realities, totally different shows, totally different looks and everything, were the same show, the same universe, the same canon and everything, it was just insulting and condescending. And, I mean, no one likes to be gaslit and told, you're not remembering things right. You don't understand what you grew up with. That's wrong, and this is what it is now. And it was always like that. You just don't know what you're talking about. It's a bizarre thing to have people try and gaslight you and tell you that the original Star Trek, the new Star Trek, is the same canon and everything, when clearly it's not. You can see the Enterprise is not the same ship. It's a couple of 100 feet longer. I mean, how are they going to deny it now? I can kind of understand how they could tell themselves, it was, the animated series, so it doesn't count, or it's just visual, it's like the design, they just had to redo it because they couldn't keep it like the original, even though they did that in A Mirror Darkly and Trials and Tribulations, and it looked just fine. I wouldn't have minded a few little changes. I mean, I'd be perfectly happy for them to do an original Star Trek series that's based on the look of the original series and just updating it just a tiny little bit, just to make it look a little bit more sophisticated, but basically the same, kind of like they did with Continues in that, but just a little bit more tweaking. But I mean, God, bring those back. I mean, why can't they just admit it's a reboot, and then we can have JJ, reboot series, we can have original canon series, we can do some of the fan films and make them into actual series, and give them some real budget. I mean, we can have all of them. Why don't they just embrace it, just admit it's a reboot, admit they're different universes with different canons, and just make different series in the different universes. They've all got the licenses are all under the same companies now. They can do whatever they want. Why not give all the different fans what they want, instead of trying to give them all one thing and try and convince everyone that's all the same, and trying to convince original fans that New Trek is original canon and it's exactly the same when it's not. I don't understand. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how people are going to explain this now that they've race swapped a live action character from the Wrath of Khan and the original Star Trek, and how they can explain how that character and those shows and that movie are not canon. I'm really curious to see what people are saying, because I was just arguing about this a couple of hours ago with someone, and they're insisting that it's not canon because it's the animated series. I'm like, and what happens when they change a character that is from the original series? What are you going to say then? And they didn't answer. Oh, well, let's see what they say now. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Yeah, please just embrace the multiverse. Admit it's a reboot. Admit it's different universes, different canons, and let's just make the most of it and make different shows and different universes, and everyone will be happy instead of trying to convince everyone it's all the same. And it's just insulting and not working and dividing the community, and embarrassing, really.